Welcome to the Divorce Allies podcast, a podcast and video series where we dive into all things divorce, from pre-divorce, during your divorce, and even post-divorce. We're a team of financial professionals, divorce mortgage planning specialists, parenting coaches, divorce coaches, and myself who helps our members through the post-divorce transition. Today's episode, we're diving in again about dating. So we did an episode last week that was all about your mindset around dating, how you even get back out there, making sure you're staying safe when you're dating. This week's episode is going to be about dating and telling your kids that you're dating again and navigating blended families. So, Kristen, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks, Anna. I'm excited about this topic as I don't think there's enough knowledge or just open conversations about this. And I get these questions from my clients all the time when they're going through their divorce. Sometimes one of the partners has already met someone else. Some of my clients aren't even considering dating or never want to date again. But we've got to create these conversations for wherever people are and give them that insight and maybe just something else to think about.
Yeah, and I think that's, very valid because when you're stepping into people's divorce journey, a lot of times they're meeting you at the point that they have to create a parenting plan. And there's so much conversation around everything in the parenting plan because you do a great job saying, like, okay, your kids might only be 10 right now, but in the future, they will be teenagers. In the future, they will be 18, 17, 18, and transitioning to either a trade or universities. But one of the things that you talk about a lot is what happens when one of the parents meet someone else in the future. And like you've mentioned, it feels impossible for a lot of people to even imagine that. Like they're just still trying to get out of this relationship. How can they even imagine that next relationship? But how are you even having that initial conversation of like, you guys, we got to kind of think about this. What happens down the road when you meet someone else?
Yeah, and I get a mixed bag of responses when I'm busy drawing up parenting plans with my clients and I say, okay, new partners. And like I said, sometimes they are like, no, I couldn't even. Or sometimes there's already someone introduced to
Mm.
the kids, or there's a new partner involved, and there was no conversation about that. But I do recommend that people place a clause if you are going through divorce and this is an area that you're concerned about, that you place a clause in your parenting plan. And this can usually look something along the lines of only established, secure relationships will involve the children, or no overnight stays with a partner while the kids are in the house, or the other co-parent may have the opportunity to meet the new spouse before, or the new partner before the kids meet them.
Mm.
Sometimes that timeline differs. Some people want a 3-month thing before the kids are introduced. Sometimes they want a 6-month thing. I generally would say 6 months for an established relationship before involving children. But I also understand that that you need to see how this new partner is with your children, because that is make or break, to be
Right.
honest. I know a lot of people that would be like, well, my kids don't like him, or he doesn't like my kids, or I don't see that working well, or I don't like the way he is with my kids, and that may end the relationship. So it is tricky. You do want to take some time before introducing your children to new partners, but there's ways that you could set it up, a convenient bumping into a friend scenario,
Mm.
to see that engagement in a very platonic way, but still not introducing your kids as, this is my new boyfriend, girlfriend. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can put it, but I do recommend putting something in that both parents agree, and remembering that you might be thinking, I'm going to put 6 months because I don't want him to introduce anyone to the kids, but it's going to work for you as well. So what's good for the
Mhm.
geese is good for the gander. So I do try and recommend that parents make sure, especially in a high conflict situation, that may get used against you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, depending on your scenario, definitely would recommend putting in a clause of introducing new partners, because the parenting plan is there to safeguard your children. And we do need to safeguard our children, even from
Yeah.
new partners and people that we don't know, that we're still getting to know. So there's a risk involved of introducing your kids as well too soon to someone that you don't know.
Right. And it kind of, I mean, perfectly goes into the next question, and you already addressed it a bit, but I think so many people are worried about like the right thing to do at all stages of the divorce. When do you tell your kids the right time that you're getting a divorce? When's the right time to move out of the house? You know, it's always like, is there a right time to do anything? It's definitely situational, but is there a quote right time to tell your kids you're starting to date? Or do you have that conversation differently depending on the ages of the kids? I mean, I know like you go deep into the different developmental stages. So I think maybe just like touch on what you think the right time is for kind of those different ages.
Yeah. And the ages play a huge role, because I may say, don't tell your kids at all under the age of 5, but I wouldn't say that for your teenagers, because they're going to clock onto you. They're going
Yeah.
to be way more aware, and they're going to know. So yes, under the age of 5, I would say you could still get away with an occasional bump in if you want to introduce, but until you can really wait longer with younger children. So 6 months. Um, bef- Make sure that I think the most important thing is make sure that you are really certain
Yeah.
before bringing the kids into it, because the children also form a relationship with this other person, and they form a bond with this other person if they start becoming more and more in their lives. Now, you weren't really sure and you introduced your kids, and now you go through a breakup, and your kids now have a relationship that they also have to grieve, and they had
Yeah.
no say in that again. So I really do try and emphasize, don't involve the kids regularly too soon.
Hmm.
Then for your middle school children or your primary school children, anywhere from 5, I mean, I would even bring it down to like 7 and below. You could
Yeah.
Kids aren't aware of what dating is. From
Yeah.
about 7 and up, I would actually say 7 to 13. Definitely have a conversation with your children, in that you are looking to make new friends. First of all, you don't need to explain that it's dating either at that age
Hmm.
necessarily. You say you're looking to meet new people, learn what you do like, learn more about yourself, and say to them, nothing is serious. I'm just getting to know new people. But if something happens and my feelings change, I will let you know.
Yeah.
So, giving your children that you will be transparent with them. At that age, you don't need to explain what dating really means, and your kids don't need to know that at all. But the fact that you're meeting new people and putting yourself out there is good for your kids to see, right? It is good for them to see that you're not just home every night and wallowing or maybe struggling to move on. Not saying that you need to move on by a certain time either. Then for your teenagers, you can be more frank and say that you do want to start dating, and um, yet again, the same thing. It's very casual and nothing serious until you let them know that there is something serious.
Hmm.
Um, so I'd say the 6 month mark for when you've met someone. But if you are going to start dating and children are going to see you going out for dinner and stuff, let them know it's friends. They don't need to know it's romantic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting because I have like vivid memories of still when I was young, like probably from age like 3 to 4. Like every adult in my life was just kind of like my parents' friend. Like there's no differentiation between like I mean, yes, you know who your family is, but outside of that, it was just like, oh, this is mom and dad's friend. I don't know where they're from. I don't know what's going on, but it is so interesting that your brain does not process any of that yet. So it is, and then like all of a sudden that person isn't around anymore, and it's like, well, I'm confused. And then I think probably by like late teenage years is then you can process all of that, like, oh, so that was like my dad's work colleague, but then someone got fired and then now that's like, so it's like everything comes to light. And so I think that's also very impactful as like a teenager and young adult. If things were very secretive and we like, it's a balance between
Yeah.
being open that there's someone in the life, but then at the same time not lying about who they, I mean, I'm just doing some like personal reflecting right now because it is very interesting of like, yeah, if I was in that situation of having to introduce someone new to younger children, it's just I like the casual run-in, like at the grocery store, like, "Oh my gosh, hi, how are you?"
I've done this in the past, and that's why I recommend it. Like, I have my both of my kids are under 7, right? And I have had one relationship since then, and I was curious. I mean, that lasted 6 months. We did end up introducing him, and it didn't work out. But before that point, I would tell the boys, let's go for a walk on the beach. And I would also say, hey, we're going for a walk on the beach.
Mhm.
And oh, hi, this is so and so. And then we'd hang out on the beach for a bit.
Yeah,
And it became more casual like that, or with other friends involved as well. So it diluted it. So I could see that dynamic in the
mhm,
early days, because I think as a mother, particularly, I can speak from a mother's perspective, that intuition you can feel, and you will be able to tell a lot by the interaction of your potential new partner and your children, and how that your children react to this person.
yeah,
I think it's very, very telling.
yeah. So if we kind of move transition to like the 7 to 18-year-old realm,
Hmm.
how much detail should be shared with your children about your dating life? Is it something where, because again, it's like a balance of, oh, he's just a friend versus, oh my gosh, I like this person so much. Is he going to text me back? Da, 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 da. Like, I'm sure you probably get these questions and having to work through with your clients, like about all of this again, because your children in the house, they see your emotions. They're going to ask questions. Do you tell them? How does all that work?
I wouldn't divulge any details about your dating to your kids until you have someone that is established. There is no need to, and it can be as a friend all the way up until it's someone serious. And I think that's how your kids should see it, actually, regardless of their age and regardless of, I think once it's established, then you can start speaking to them about what this means, what this might look like. But up until that point, everything for your kids and your dating life should be, these are just friends. This is
Yeah.
a new friend. This is a friend I met at the gym. This is a friend that I met at the grocery store. This is a friend that I work with, whatever it may be. But they should be seen as friends. And I don't think your children need to be privy to any of your dating details.
Yeah.
Divorce, they've already gone through divorce, and they've seen your heartbreak, and they've seen your emotions through that. I do always say, don't hide your emotions from your kids. But if it's in your dating, and they don't need to be privy to the details of, he's not texted me back, or Bob just told me he doesn't want to come over and I'm so upset. And no, the kids don't need
Yeah.
that.
You have a lot of really good, like, specific niche advice, and so I'm wondering, like, because kids are always listening, and so it's even to the extent of, like, maybe don't answer their phone calls even in the same, like, house as your kids because they're probably listening to those conversations. Even if you think, "Oh, they're watching TV in the living room, I'll take this phone call in the dining room or the kitchen." Chances are kids are probably listening or, like, staying up to eavesdrop at your door. So do you have, like, more tangible tips or tricks on how to even navigate the early stages of dating with kids around?
So I don't ever have, personally, I can talk from my side, and then I'll speak from what I mentioned to my clients. But I have my kids all the time. I would not have the option to only speak to someone when my kids are not in the house, which, for the single mothers that have maybe most of the custody, that's not realistic, because you have your
Mhm.
kids all the time, and that puts a whole different spin on dating and when you're available. My co-parents that have 50% of the time, and they have 1 week on, 1 week off, you have a lot more freedom to actually keep your dating life completely separate to your kids.
Yeah.
If you are a parent that has your kids 100% of the time, or 90 or 80% of the time, that becomes a little bit harder. So, I wouldn't want those parents to feel like, well, now you can't date, or have any conversations or be on the phone because your kids are in the house. So, yes, of course, be aware of what you are talking about and who is in earshot, just with like any conversation.
Yeah.
You're not going to speak to your best friend and tell her about, oh my gosh, and the biggest juiciest gossip while your kids are listening. So make sure that you are child-proofing your telephone conversations,
Mhm.
but you can definitely still have those conversations, be texting. Yeah, does that answer your
It does,
question?
because I think it kind of, like, went the other way of saying it's okay to have those conversations in the house, like, you don't have to be so sneaky all the time, but it's just, like, being intentional of what you're saying, knowing that there are little ears around, or big ears, like teenagers. But no, it does answer what I'm trying to ask, or what I was trying.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just don't like, I know everyone, or if I think of each of my clients, their scenarios are so different.
right.
Some people have way more time with their kids and dating is really on the back end, but they're really yearning for someone new. Or sometimes some of my clients have already dove straight into dating and the divorce isn't even final yet, but I think I brought this up last time, they've been healing through the end of that marriage
Yeah,
for the last 5 years. They've kind of been emotionally checked out already. So I do always want to talk to everyone and say there is no one rule that fits when it comes to dating. This conversation today is just candidly saying how, what to be considerate of, what are the developmental stages of your kids and their understanding, and from someone
mhm,
that grew up in a blended family and now going through this all myself and working with my clients. These are all just ideas and things to consider. So I don't want anyone watching this today to think that, you know, oh well, I can't have private conversations, so I can't go dating now,
yeah.
or I've already met someone, but or I've already drawn my parenting plan up and I don't have this clause in. These are always just suggestions that we talk about.
Of course. And it's a conversation, and that's what we do mostly in our membership is welcome these very open and candid conversations, because we have perspectives from different fields as well as different generations, and we are here to give resources and case studies and experiences to say this is what happened in this. Your situation is going to be different than any other thing that we've seen. So how do you think is going to work with your family best? But yeah, it's like this is all of our conversations are just Kristen and I chit chatting about it, knowing that it's going to help at least one person. But
Exactly, exactly.
part of this conversation, what we really wanted to bring in was the point of blended families. Because realistically, after divorce, a lot of times divorcees will meet other divorcees and have their children on both sides. How do you introduce a new partner and their kids?
Yeah, and this can, what's the word I'm thinking of? So this can cause a lot of chaos if the kids don't get involved, and there's so much pressure on this. I remember dating and having so much pressure that pets would get along, like my dogs would get along with, like the cats would get along with the dogs. There weren't other kids involved. But yes, so the first thing I would want to say is definitely whatever you do, do not try and force a relationship with the kids, with your new partner. That will only cause resentment. And sometimes this could take up to a year of being in a
Mm,
relationship with another person before those relationships start building. And again, depending on your kids' ages, right? So if your kids are really young, it might be a lot easier for them to accept a new person. But if your kids are maybe 10, 11, like 10 and upwards, and they've got a very established relationship already with with their dad or their mom, with the other co-parent, accepting someone else in, and those kids also have memories of mom and dad
Yeah.
together. Whereas if your kids are younger, if they're 3, 4, and it's been a year or two already since divorce, those kind of memories of both parents together are not like they yearn for that family unit. Whereas your
Yeah.
older kids will have those memories and yearn, and then have a bitterness towards a partner potentially.
Mhm, mhm.
So, your older kids, introducing them to that new partner, blending that family, that relationship has to happen organically. I know my mom met my stepdad. They've been married now for 28 years.
Wow.
And I was 10 when my mom met him. And I couldn't call him dad or anything. Like, from the start, I was too old. I wasn't, it was past that. And even though I see him as my dad, he's been in my life for a very long time. I couldn't I was too old at that point. There
Yeah.
weren't any children involved in that side. It was just me. So it was fairly easy. But when there's other children involved, there could be a lot of different conflicts and parenting styles that differ. And, um, maybe the new partner's kids get whatever they want, or they're spoiled, and you're more you work for what you want kind of parent. So it takes a lot of patience. I would say that is my key overall tip, is have patience. Don't try
Yeah.
and force it. Allow it to be slow. Be careful. Obviously, be aware of what your kids think about this new partner, but don't take everything they say to heart, especially with teenagers. Teenagers are smart, right? They could also have ulterior motives, not like this person, or loved it when it was just you guys and you didn't have a partner.
Yeah.
So have some patience, slow down. There is no rush for all these relationships to be formed from day one and be a big happy family. It is going to take work, and it's now blending more personalities into one household. So it's a whole new family dynamic. And I feel what I see with my clients is they try and rush this. They
Yeah.
just want everyone to get along. They just want this to be okay because they're so in love, and they just want the kids to just, love each other, and they want their kids to love this new person as much as they do. And they almost start getting like, well, come, you have to do this or you have to do that, or try and spend some more time. You're not even trying, whatever it is. But have some patience. Let your kids feel the way they feel about this person. And even though it may be because your co-parent is saying something negatively or putting some seeds in their minds as well, you have to give it time, because no relationship is built overnight. And your kids' relationship with this new partner and with the new potential step siblings is also the same thing.
Mhm. Well, I need to give all this advice to my friends in their 20s trying to rush their first relationships so they can get married and have kids. It's like, again, relationships aren't built overnight. But no, I think that it's probably the hardest advice to receive, because it's like you just want to visualize a happy family and you're like, it didn't work the first time, and maybe it didn't work the second time, but it really can work this next time. And all it takes is if we could just get there. And it's so hard, just the patience of it. Like, you just went through a divorce. Your patience was tested to the extremes. You're going to have to do it again. Do you have, again, like some tangible tips on, again, like how you even introduce the kids the first time? Again, is it in a
Yeah.
neutral space? Is it a dinner? Is it like a walk on the beach? I mean, a lot of us don't live near a beach, but like something outdoorsy like that.
Yeah, definitely try and keep it not at a home. So it's a neutral ground. So neither sets of children, I know my kids at this age, it's toys, and that's my favorite toy, and you can't share it. No. So depending on your kids' ages, but a neutral ground is always a safe space where there's no hierarchy already. Everyone's starting on an even playing field. And I mean, that first introduction doesn't need to be, I would say, an activity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a dinner. I would say do something. Do something fun. Go on a hike, go do an activity, go to a theme park, go do something that is going to bond everyone. But a dinner, like, I don't know about you, but kids generally don't want to go and sit at a restaurant and have to sit still and communicate, right? Like,
Yeah.
most of them want to do something. Go play mini golf, or, you know, there's so many things that you go karting or do something fun with
Mhm.
all the kids, um, and keep it on a neutral ground. That introduction as well, don't put pressure on it in
Yeah.
the sense of, well, I've seen this happen, not with a client, but with a distant friend. But, you know, don't put pressure on that relationship that, oh, you got, or jump ahead too soon and say, well, we're all going to be a family now on the first meeting. You know, lay off, like let everyone just meet without any expectations. Try and keep it on neutral ground, and don't hype it up too much either. Like
Yeah.
if you hype it up, oh, next week we're finally gonna meet them. Next week we're finally gonna, just try and keep it calm and not hyped up, not a big deal. And that way you're gonna get a very good feel and less expectations around what this means, and fears and anxieties, because now if there's expectations, your kids might be like, well, what does this mean? And
Yeah.
you may not have all the answers to those questions. So play it cool, play it slow, and keep it neutral.
Yeah. I really like that. So then let's kind of assume introductions went really well. The blend is starting to happen. They're becoming truly more like a family at this point, a unit. What are some realistic boundaries to set in a blended family dynamic? Because I'm sure in the beginning, things are feeling really good. Both sides are like, wow, this is working. But then after a while, it becomes normal. And after normal, a lot of different personalities and things start to come out a little bit more. So, what I mean by boundaries are like the cross dynamics in the blended family or anything else that you can add to that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to depend on your kids' ages, right? You can't have a new partner coming in with your 14-year-old son, and now this new partner wants to discipline your 14-year-old son. I would probably say from that point, there's no point in that person becoming a parent, because your kids have both parents, you're co-parenting. So there's no reason for that person to come in on a parenting perspective. But I like to always say, come in from a role model perspective,
Mm,
guide and lead, but you don't need to be the disciplinarian. You can actually be slightly more fun or slightly more relaxed. Depending on the kids, right? I would
yeah.
say your teenagers, there's no need for your new partner to come in and discipline your teenagers. Of course, it's still good for teens and all kids to see that you are a unit. So just because you don't discipline them doesn't mean that you couldn't stand up for, or your new husband couldn't stand up for you if your 16-year-old son was just disrespecting you or anything. I'm
Mhm,
thinking of
mhm.
random scenarios that I have heard in the past or experienced. Um, you still need your kids to see what a family union and a family unit looks like,
Yeah.
and that you guys are together, because that could cause problems in the home if they don't see you and your new partner as a unit.
Yeah.
They could probably end up using you guys against each other. So it's a fine line. It's really a fine line of that boundary of how much discipline or how much involvement the new partner has in parenting your children.
Mhm, mhm.
With younger children, that may grow naturally, but you need to be clear on what your boundaries are as a mother.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak specifically to the mothers, but if you're not comfortable with a certain kind of discipline, or you're not comfortable at all with them disciplining your child, then you need to make that clear. Or, something that really does help in these blended families is when you're still in the early phases, let everyone build individual relationships as well. Set aside
Mm,
time so that, because sometimes one kid could get drowned out in all the other busy kids, and you know, so, or one relationship, two specifics don't get enough time with each other. Maybe your new partner doesn't get enough time with your 5-year-old son or your 18 or 17-year-old daughter.
yeah.
So try and in the beginning phases, make a conscious effort to try and do some one-on-one time, because as a unit, if all the individual relationships, there is something there, it's going to help the whole unit, So you take his kids out for a day and get to know them and spend
Yeah.
some time with them. Let him take your kids for a day, or one of them at a time, or do a school pickup or something if you're at that point of trusting each other, really. I mean, you clearly do at this point if you're in a relationship. So,
Yeah.
but make sure that because you're only, I like that whole saying of a team is only as strong as their weakest link. And that's the same for a family unit.
Mm,
If everyone gets along, but your 17-year-old daughter cannot stand your new fiance or boyfriend, that's going to bleed into everyone else.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't just focus on the unit itself and everyone together, but also focus that everyone is fostering and developing individual relationships and getting to know each other and how to work with each other, Like I'm one of 3 girls on my mom's side, and my stepdad, we have to build our own relationship
Yeah.
outside of his relationship with my mom, outside of his relationship with my sisters. We have a very different dynamic. We have a different understanding. As my middle sister, she has a different understanding. Everyone is going to be different with each other. So allow for that to happen in the beginning and it's going to help with those boundaries as well. Once those relationships are established, because the best case scenario is your new partner is a great role model and there isn't a need for overstepping boundaries in the sense of discipline, because your kids actually just look up to this person because they've
Yeah.
built a relationship with this person.
Yeah.
I'm huge on that one-on-one, those relationships that are building individually in a family. Like I still do it with my kids, having one-on-one time with each of them, because we spend all our time, all 3 of us together. But that one-on-one time is really special in building unique bonds. And those unique bonds will have a positive butterfly effect throughout your whole process.
Yeah, and this was just something that I was thinking about when you're talking about this, but because we keep talking about, like, that outside person coming in, but do you find with any of your clients, it's hard for them, more specifically for the women again, to adjust their role on, like, how they're interacting with their new partner's kids? Or, like, you don't have to be the mother in this situation. You can be the mentor. You can be what because we keep just talking about the other perspective, but I just, like, quickly,
Yes.
like, the woman's perspective on becoming the stepmom, on forming relationships with maybe the 17-year-old boy who could care less about your existence, like, it's an interesting swap.
Yeah. And I mean, my ex-husband is married again and they have a little one. So I'm also living this whole blended family already. And, you know, in the beginning, if it's still very raw, this is why I say, take your time, slow things down, because in the beginning, if emotions are still raw, that makes it difficult. But at this point, there's such closure and healing that has happened between my ex and I. We are not in that space. And I have a good relationship with his wife, and she has a good relationship with my kids.
Mm,
So I'm always considering what it might be like for her stepping into this co-parenting dynamic. And you know I appreciate the things she does. I know not a lot of women have this. I've heard of some horror stories of the
yeah.
new woman, and um but if you're that new mother stepping in and there's a stepmom role that you can take on, again, I'm going to say build those individual relationships. Don't try and come in on a strong hand. Like, just get to know the kids. Get to know each kid for their special qualities, for what their triggers are. And that way you're going to be able to know how to deal with that kid specifically. It's this whole topic is incredibly touchy because it's such a highly charged, emotionally charged, with so much history, dynamic, blending families, new people coming in, and emotions and kids' emotions and different personalities. And like I said, I've heard such horror stories of
Yeah.
stepmoms or new partners. And I just pray that, you find the one that is really good, but you also have to take the lead in that, right?
Yeah.
Include that new partner and say, hey, it is the kids' concert this week, and I did send my co-parent a message about it, but I just wanted to say, we would love to have you there as well. I'm always that person that's going to advocate for just try and be the better person. It takes one person. It takes one person to wave that white flag or to make a kind gesture that can change everything. It can absolutely change everything. And the bitterness and resentment and feelings, you need to work through that, because if the kids are all happy and let's say this scenario, the kids love each other, but you've got a difficult co-parent. I see this one more often than kids struggling.
Interesting.
I see more often the ex-partner that is just causing so much havoc and doesn't want the kids around this person until, like, I actually had a case where until they were married, the ex-wife did not want the husband to introduce or the other woman to be around her kids at all, ever. So, and I think to myself, well, who is that benefiting?
Yeah.
So, yeah, individual relationships, that blended family, and if you get it wrong, if you're still raw, then keep your distance. But when you're in a space to include it, like, I can use an example now. My co-parent is flying with his new wife, not so new anymore, with his wife and their little baby, which is now my kid's half brother, right? And I see so much in this little boy that I saw in my kids, and it's the first time the little boy, like, the boys are all going to meet each other. But we've all got plans together to, let the boys experience each other together. Like, I have a vision that they'll drop they'll drop the little boy off here, and I have the 3 boys for a little while, or they take all 3 boys and I get it. I have this vision because I have half brothers and half sisters, and I don't see the half. My heart doesn't feel the half. So I do want to say that part of, your kids they don't see the half. That's why that individual relationship is so important. Let them build those relationships. I have so much love for this baby, even though I've not even met him, because he is he's my son's brother.
Yeah.
And that trumps everything to me. That trumps all my emotion, not trumps my emotions, but to me, that takes priority. And there's so much beauty in that. Why would bitterness, and I know this could sound a little preachy now, but don't be bitter about it, And if you have work to do. If you are bitter in this place, that's not the other person, that's you. You need to do some work. You need to figure it out. And this is quite lectury, but I am known with my clients to be very soft with them, but also to call them out when I need it to, and to make them see that this is not good for the kids. And this is purely out of unresolved issues personally, or,
Well, and what you just said, even though you keep saying it sounds lectury, I think it's needed, and it's very admirable to see someone like you doing this, and like it is possible. And something that we always talk about in our membership is breaking patterns. Even last week we had a session about inherited trauma and how it's just a lot of these things are generation after generation after generation. Like Kristen, you've talked about it before. You were able to break a generational pattern. Well, you broke it so your sons won't have to keep
Deal with
going
that.
down that. Yes. And so I think it should be able, like a very empowering statement. Everyone has the power to break a pattern today. If it's a pattern about resentment that maybe you saw your mother go through, your grandma go through, you don't have to do that anymore. You can be accepting. You can start a new pattern in your family that's open, kind, and creating new rituals, new family units. And I think that that's kind of what you're just trying to say is
Yeah.
you don't have to keep holding anything that wasn't serving you before. So, I mean, and that's a constant conversation we're having in the Divorce Allies is hold yourself accountable. We're going to be here for you. We are your circle. We are your community. We're also going to put the mirror up in some instances and then say you have the power to do anything you want today, tomorrow, next week, next month.
Yeah. And it's often like we talk about in the circle, it's about your perspective.
Yeah.
Anything can change if you are willing to change your perspective and to look at it from a different and really put yourself in your kid's shoes or really put yourself in your ex-spouse's shoes, it's all about perspective. And I think that is why I have this perspective that I have as I've brought this up is I grew up with separated, divorced, blended families, and then I went through it. So I really do I know what I felt like as a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that is overarching for this whole thing that I would say is my divorce was easier because I chose it. As a kid, it wasn't my choice. I had no control. And this is what your kids are feeling. There's all this change happening and they have no say. So wherever you possibly can, listen to your children, give them a voice, see it from their perspective. My kids, their stepmom, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
She's wonderful with them. And why would I not want that for my boys? Like, why would I not want that for my kids? Why would you not want that for your kids?
Yeah.
So we want our kids to be loved on by as many people as possible and learn from as many people as possible because we all love differently. And the more love, the better your kid is going to that is just going to make your child thrive, right? Like I actually get excited about this. Like I think people don't our kids need to learn to be loved in many different ways.
Yeah.
And no one, I'm going to end with this. No one will ever replace you. They will not replace you. And I know I have to say this because so many of my clients are like, but what if they love her more than me? Or what if they love the new dad more than they love their dad, the stepdad more than they love their dad? It's impossible. Yeah. It's not possible. Or maybe not impossible, but you are their parent. As long as you are doing your best, your kids will be aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Love does not replace, just add it on top of. And
exactly.
I think that's a beautiful way to end it, Kristen. I think this was so great. And again, just real conversations Kristen is having probably every single day with her clients. And if you have any type of these questions, again, please either comment or send us an email. Check out our website, thedivorceallies.com. Our job is to make the divorce process as easy and painless as possible and also help reframe and rewire your thinking so that when you come out of it, you can start a very empowered life. So again, any questions you have, please let us know. We're happy to answer them. And Kristen, thank you again. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Anna.